young women competing against most experienced athletes, and they are winning as well. So that's a good demonstration that our work is paying off. And in 2025 we have a dedicated race in the UCI World Championships. And because also the number of women are increasing. Last year we had, let's say, 100 riders in the UCI Women's World Tour. We'll have almost 200 next year. So that's a very good thing of the development of women's cycling.
Yeah, that's a progression. This is my 19th World Championship, which all of a sudden makes me feel quite old saying that out loud. But it's the first time that there's been equal medals for the women that there are for the men. So it is huge, it's so tremendous. Marnie, what are we doing in Australia to develop these young female athletes?
Okay, it's a great question, Kate, and one of the key focuses we've had in forming Oz cycling and having many more pathways is really looking at how we work with our clubs. I mean, at the end of the day, healthy clubs that are inclusive and welcoming and understand the role that they play. And Kate, to your point, being able to look into clubs and see opportunities not only for male riders but female riders. So our focus, and we are sort of looking towards 2032 as a bit of a long-term aim, is to really build back that strength, make it exciting and fun to be a part. That opportunity to come into the sport and really learn how to ride a bike and play and have fun, and then see what journey you go on. But make sure that our clubs and our pathways provide that really seamless opportunity for not only boys but for young women that have an aspiration to pull on the green and gold can do so and are well supported. So I think it's about, as Amina said, providing the pathways, building scale and opportunities. And I think probably one of having come out of netball, that I suppose the community, so that the more women are riding around you, that particularly from a competitive perspective does tend to lift the bar, and having that career pathway I think is really valuable.
It's an exciting time, I think, for the young females in the sport. Professor Davidson, thank you so much for being here. And I saw that you were having such a lovely discussion with my daughter before about bikes and whether she rode, and I think we've got a bit of conversion to do on you yourself. But I know that the University of Wollongong has an incredible cycling club, and it's run by a very inspiring young woman, Juliana. Can you tell us a little bit about the support that UOW has given to cycling and how it enriches the community there?
Well, firstly, Juliana is just an amazing woman who's here from Brazil doing her PhD. And she's just really engaged the community, and it's not just about cycling for her, even though she's a very effective cyclist. She has a program with her colleagues where they take old bikes and fix them up themselves, which they give to new students. And also they've lobbied the university to have places to store bikes, and really have also added those activities.
And in fact, Wollongong is the first time that the UCI has ever given the city a bike city label before a championship, which is massive. The infrastructure in Wollongong contributes heavily to that, doesn't it? Because the culture around here, a lot of the, to backtrack a little bit, a lot of the impediment for women to get on bikes in any way, they say, is the ability to feel safe on the roads. But Wollongong has got such incredible infrastructure, and certainly I understand that there's a lot of students who commute by bike to their studies, which is quite unique. It doesn't happen in too many university environments.
No, and I just think, as you could just see around the city, there's so many bike tracks. But the other thing about the University of Wollongong is we're also a global university. We have campuses in Dubai, in Malaysia, Hong Kong, and in much of regional New South Wales. And each of those campuses are also really committed to cycling and providing that aspect for students.
And you've been a tremendous support to this event as well as an ambassador, so thank you very much.
Well, I might not be a cyclist, but I've been very engaged and involved in women's health issues at it's really one of my areas of expertise. So I'm delighted, and congratulations to UCI for really the focus on that. But the other thing that I just really want to encourage is the movement forward, because there's a big difference between equality and equity. And it's just not the same as having the same level of races or even the same level of compensation. It's how women are valued, feel integrated, and are powerful within the organisation. So I'm sure UCI has a very strong leader at the helm. But the last thing I want to say, that being an elite athlete, just having the privilege of knowing someone, that universities really set elite athletes up, because as you know, it's not just about being a good athlete, it's about marketing, about communication, it's about confidence, it's about knowing your worth, having a business plan. So we're really excited at the University of Wollongong to also not just be providing the facilities for cycling, but really we've actually looking at sport as an academic discipline. In fact, looking out here, we have one of our amazing researchers who, surfing as a science. So if anybody is interested, go and have a look at the University of Wollongong website. There's so many great things in sport for young people.
Well, tremendous support, and you've raised a very good point, which is to be an advocate for cycling and cyclists, you don't necessarily have to be in lycra on the bike. So very powerful, thank you very much. Gracie, you've seen everything in the sport. You've seen the highs and the lows, recently retired from racing. You jumped straight into broadcasting. You didn't let that opportunity slip, and it's been tremendous. But that's given you a completely different view of the sport again. Tell us about some of the barriers that you encountered, firstly as a young athlete, and what you may have seen change through progression, now retirement and reinvigoration in another part of the sport.
Yeah, so I've been retired for about 2 years now, and I had quite a long career for a female cyclist. I was a professional road cyclist for nearly 10 years, as well as doing some mountain biking before then. And I feel like I went through the era of almost the most accelerated change. There was so much that happened in that 10 to 12 year period. I came into the sport just after the under 23 category. At the time I was very grateful, because I don't think I would have survived in that period between under 19s and open. I think that there just wasn't enough support there. Mentally, personally, I probably just wasn't going to cope that well, so I was really grateful to have a different trajectory from mountain biking. But I came in, and the first couple of years were amazing, but I just could not get my head around the fact that my mechanic was making a living wage and I wasn't. And something just didn't sit right there, but I was so self-focused, as all athletes are. You just get on with it, you're grateful, you just want to be there, you want to go to World Championships, you want to go to the Olympics, you don't want to jeopardise any of those chances, so you just accept what the situation is. And by 2017, I was getting more interested in the landscape of women's cycling. I was a bit more settled in my career, and I was talking with not a colleague, but just a friend in the peloton. Her name is Iris Lappendell, and she was trying to convince me to start a rider union with her, and I kept saying, no, I don't have the time, I don't want to put the energy into it. And she was so persistent, she finally talked me into it. So with herself and American rider Carmen Small, we took about 6 months, formulated lots of plans, lots of ideals. We got a lot of help, a lot of advisory people to come in and help us with all the legal stuff. And we started a women's cycling union. And we really just wanted to firstly educate the riders and try and give them a voice and help them understand that they were allowed to challenge the status quo, and we just felt that things weren't changing quick enough, with all due respect. And then since then, so much has changed, and that is because of the work done by the UCI. We have our small part to play. We've done rider surveys every year to collect some really important information of the landscape of women's cycling. And some amazing things have come out of it: minimum salaries, maternity leave contracting, world tour contracts. That's quite exceptional in sport, I believe. So it's just really great to see so much change, so much opportunity now for females. But we have just released the results of our latest rider survey, and the top level of the sport is doing pretty great. There's about I think 6% of the world of all riders, I should say, that are making quite a good amount of money. But there's a huge percentage of riders that are still making nothing. So there were riders at the Tour de France this year making zero money, competing against riders on a triple-figure salary. And so the gap is getting bigger. And that's what UCI are really trying to tackle, and that's what we're trying to figure out how we can play a part there too, of how do we get that development part of women's cycling to a better place. And it's really difficult, isn't it? It involves so many stakeholders, so many people to come to the table, and I just would love to see a better under-23 opportunity in racing, not just at World Championship level, but all season, and for them to get that better financial support so that they're not getting stuck in those small teams, not making any money and not being able to rise to that level where they should be able to.
It's both a privilege to be part of a generation seeing this accelerated change, but it's also a privilege for the riders coming in who only hear stories of the change that has happened and get to step in and experience it for themselves. And you're doing incredible work. And can I say that pairing up with Aristotle and Small, could not find two fiercer women in the peloton. So I think it's a pretty formidable combination there. My final question is for both you and for Amina. What do the next 5 years look like? We have had such incredible acceleration in the last decade. Will this pace keep up? Gracie, I'll start with you.
I'm really pleased to see the under-23 medals available this year. There was certainly a lot of controversy around that decision to not have it at all and wait to have a separate race. I am in the camp of yes, it's a great step. It's not an ideal step, but it's a step forward and it's important. And I think that it just gives that hope and that motivation for that young generation of riders going, I could win a world championship medal. And it's not too far off 2025, so I think that there still needs a lot of work to be done. And I'd love to see a better run up into the World Championships too, so I'm sure that that's going to be a really important part, is getting a better series for under-23 riders, better exposure for them, and that's better for the sponsors, because these riders can win their own races. So it's better for the economy of the sport, and just continuing to have more coverage as well. Like, so that's always the number one. We want more than 45 minutes. We want race start to finish, and we want every race live. That would be ideal.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and it's true that it has been a step-by-step journey actually, developing women's cycling. It was not easy at all at the beginning, and as I said, we had, for example, organizers at the beginning, in 2016, not willing to give, to invest in TV production because it's very costly and so on. And now the same organizers, they asked us to have another race in the UCI Women's World Tour because they saw the exposure, the opportunities of women's cycling. And of course, let's not forget that for the first time we had the Tour de France Femme this year, and it was a big booster for the development. We were waiting and we were missing a stage race of reference in women's cycling. The Tour de France did exist in the past, it disappeared for financial reasons, and now in 2022 we had the rebirth of this great race. And this race could benefit from the men's Tour de France with its popularity, its media exposure, which is huge, and actually it went beyond our expectations. And now we have more and more organizers wanting to have a women's race, in parallel of men's race in the UCI World Tour. For me, it's important, as you said, to strengthen the base of women's cycling, because we know that at the lowest level we still have problems, we still have lack of salaries and so on. So we will install and we will put in place in 2026 a second division team. So we'll have actually 3 divisions of teams, but it's a step-by-step journey. We can't do it at the same time because we need the support. We need also to have the regions, the cities, investing in races, and we also need more women in the leadership of teams, of organizers, of national federations. We need to have more positions of responsibilities for women. And as first female director general, I want to be a role model for many women. I want you as well to help us, to support us, and I know that Iris and Cyclist Alliance is doing a great job. We need to work together, and it has started to pay off, as I said, and but it's not over. We have to continue, and it will be a long journey together. And but I'm very happy because I'm super proud when I look at and I watch the Tour de France fan this year. More and more fans, and now young girls wanting to become the new Lizzie Denian or the new Marianne Vos or the new Annemiek or the new Grace Brown, So it has changed a lot. As I said, it was a men's sport, and now more and more it's becoming, equal. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I think beautifully said.